Ever since Christopher Columbus introduced the tobacco plant to the rest of the world, the cigar maker's art has been constantly refined. It is a story about meticulous precision and care, and about 5 centuries of thoroughgoing quality packed into its elegant form. A cigar can be divided into several parts, both in its length and depth. Vertically, it consists of a head, body, and foot. The body of a cigar has 3 main layers. The filler is the inner part of the cigar and contains half or entire tobacco leaves. It is held together by the binder. The wrapper, finally, is the cigar's elegant tuxedo. All 3 categories of leaves deserve the utmost respect, as each stage of their cultivation includes specific growing areas and special practices before they're combined into the world's finest blends. The main regions which grow tobacco for premium quality cigars are the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Cuba, Nicaragua, Honduras, Ecuador, Brazil, Cameroon, and Indonesia. In these countries, tobacco plants benefit from perfect climatic conditions, with an ideal average temperature of 27 degrees Celsius. In the Dominican Republic, where most of the company's tobacco is cultivated, growing areas lie in Yamasa and in the Cibao Valley between the central and northern mountain ranges. Spreading over 8 regions, the company has its own farms, plus 70 farmers under contract. The tobacco types and fertilizers supplied to the growers depend on the specific soil conditions of their growing area. The nature of the soil plays an important role in the characteristics of the tobacco. The soil's composition influences its strength, aroma, and taste. This varies from country to country, region to region, and area to area. The same type of tobacco grown in different areas only a few kilometers apart produces leaves with distinct characteristics. It therefore all starts with the selection of the soil and the choice of the seeds that will be grown in it. Nicotiana tabacum is an annual herbaceous plant. In other words, the process of growing tobacco must be repeated every year, with seeds produced by the flowers. The company ensures its genetic capital by growing the seeds in its own nursery. In this way, it guarantees the consistency and quality of each tobacco type. The nursery also enables agricultural scientists to create new types of hybrids. They're not only more resistant to disease, but also of particular interest for the creation of new blends. A tobacco plant produces about 150 flowers, each containing between 1,000 and 1,500 seeds. However, only every 3rd flower provides good quality seeds, of which 30% are then used for sowing. The seeds are sown in seed trays containing sterile substratum specially created for growing tobacco. About 2,500 seeds are mixed with sterile ash. The color of the ash contrasts with that of the substratum, allowing a uniform distribution of seeds in the seed trays. The seeds are then covered with sterilized rice husks to protect them and improve irrigation. The first watering allows the development of the seeds into small plants. About 20 days after sowing, the seedlings are planted out by hand into a tray. This laborious step allows the primary and secondary roots to reach critical health and strength. Apart from anchoring the plant in the ground, a strong rootage allows it to draw up sufficient water and nutrients necessary for its development. Thousands of trays, each with 200 seedlings, are then lined up in the company's 52 greenhouses. For the young plants, the greenhouses provide perfect climatic conditions. They're monitored on a daily basis. Quality controls and irrigation are part of the early cultivation process. After 25 days, The time has come for the plant to prove itself in the field. The seedling is taken out of the tray and made ready for transportation. Due to its growth in an isolated cell, the rootage is strong enough to face this journey without fear. The various tobacco seedlings are then delivered to the farmers. According to the soil and conditions required, they're planted all over the growing regions in the Cibao Valley and in Yamasa. Apart from specially created hybrids, the company uses 3 basic types of tobacco. There is Olor, a light indigenous tobacco from the Dominican Republic. Then Piloto, a powerful tobacco, and Vicente, a medium-strong tobacco, both of which originally came from Cuba and were introduced into the Dominican Republic in 1962. As the sun sets in the warmth of the Caribbean, the seedlings have been nurtured through a healthy infancy and now gather strength for their journey to come. Two to 3 weeks after planting, the plants have already grown to a considerable height. Even if humans cannot control the climatic conditions that influence the characteristics of the tobacco, we can nurture its evolution with all necessary care. The plants are monitored on a daily basis, and when required, watered via a smart irrigation system. Tobacco plants need a lot of water. However, too much rainfall at inappropriate moments or prolonged lack of sunshine at any time of the year will have a negative impact on their evolution. As the plant keeps growing, the soil is banked up around its base to help the roots' development. The top buds are also removed to allow larger leaves to develop perfectly. Finally, side shoots are also regularly excised. Most of the farmers have been working with the Davidoff company for over 20 years. Consistent teamwork, mutual respect, and an ongoing drive for perfection lead to a symbiosis between soil and plant which produces the best tobacco for prime cigars. The plant's leaves indicate their precise readiness for harvest through changes of color and shape. The leaves are picked in intervals from the base up over a period of 35 days. This allows the plant to fully develop the remaining leaves to their maximum ripeness between pickings. Depending on their position on the plant, the leaves contain varying amounts of nicotine. About 1% for the lowest leaves and about 3% for the highest. From the bottom up, the 4 levels used for production are named Volado, Seco, Visos, and Ligero. The strength of the tobacco therefore depends not only on its type and growing area, but also on its position on the plant. Carefully transported to the ranchos, or curing barns, the leaves contain 85% water and 15% dry elements. They're hung up to cure for about 45 days. The curing is a natural process during which the chemical composition of the leaf changes. It loses not only its humidity, but also its beautiful green color. It is the beginning of the development of flavor and aroma. One of the most important signs of uncompromising quality is the degree of combustibility. The maestros themselves check the burning capacity as they go on their daily quality check. If the tobacco glows for 20 seconds, the leaf is about to become a prime candidate for a fine cigar. The leaves are then taken down, piled up and stored for 20 to 30 days, before they're moved to the warehouses in the little village of Ricome, not far from the fields in which they're grown. On arrival, the humidity of the leaves is brought to the perfect level for a first detailed quality check. Under professional eyes, they're then sorted into fillers and binders, depending on their physical condition. The wrapper leaves, however, undergo an even more detailed examination. Density, color, and size play an important role during the first selection and sorting. The leaves are now ready for the next stage, the fermentation. The fermentation process is a chemical reaction based on humidity, temperature, and time. The leaves are carefully piled up and a tube is placed in the fermentation stack to check the temperature. The stack is moved when the temperature approaches a critical 50 degrees Celsius in its center. At this temperature, the tobacco would cook and be unusable. The fermentation period and the number of times the stacks are changed varies according to the strength of the tobacco. When the temperature stops rising, the first fermentation process has come to an end. Then, the tobacco is ready for a first long rest. The leaves are compressed and packed into bales. Each bale contains a code with all information regarding the fermentation process, the type of tobacco, the variety of seeds, and the growing area. While the lightest tobaccos need at least 18 months to develop their taste and aroma, the strongest require a minimum of 2 years. It's all about time, completing its work at its own good pace. After a well-deserved break, the leaves continue on their journey. During the so-called stripping process, the leaf's central rib is removed to make the cigar roller's work easier. In the first step, the leaves are moistened and carefully conditioned. The humidity has to be just right, so the central rib can be removed without damaging the leaf. For the filler leaves, the stripping process itself is a fully manual operation and is only partial, which means that only 2/3 of the rib is removed. For most binder and all wrapper leaves, however, this process is mechanical in order to prevent any damage to these highly valuable leaves. After this laborious step, the tobacco undergoes a second fermentation of 40 days before it is put to rest again. The second aging will take up to 3 years. Some rare types will even undergo an aging process of over 10 years, during which the tobacco's character is gradually refined. The time has finally come for the binder and wrapper leaves to be assigned to a certain type of cigar. Each prime wrapper's character corresponds with a specific cigar size and brand. They're humidified and then graded by quality, color, and size according to their intended destination. In the meantime, the binder leaves are sorted by size. Every soil, every crop, every variety of tobacco, every leaf, by its location on the plant, has specific characteristics which allow master blenders to exercise all the complexity of their art. Blends need to meet the vast range of smokers' preferences. They are the master's secret, as they are created, tasted, and refined. A blend needs to be positive, balanced, and consistent over time. The blends are then sent to the Davidoff company's Swiss headquarters to be tested and approved by a panel of highly specialized tasters. Once a blend has been approved, production can begin. The company's cigars are manufactured in Villa González, which lies just north of the city Santiago de los Caballeros. The staff in the blending department prepares bags with the appropriate mix of tobacco leaves, which will then be delivered to the torcedores, or cigar rollers. The rollers work in pairs, alternating with each other, one producing the bunch, the filler held together by the binder, while the other then rolls the bunch into the wrapper. With their extreme sensitivity and skill, the rollers know how to use just the right amount of tobacco to make the filler. A tobacco leaf does not have the same consistency throughout its surface. In fact, the leaf's tip is the most powerful part, and contains a greater amount of essential aromatic oil. This part should be placed at the foot of the cigar, the end that is lit, to ensure that the cigar is balanced from start to finish. The carefully composed filler is then rolled in the binder. Like a well-adjusted corset, the binder holds the filler. Once the bunch is composed, it is then placed in a special mold, pressed, and then turned and pressed again to give it its regular cylindrical shape. The central part of the half-leaf is used as the wrapper, which gives the fully dressed cigar its flawless elegance. It is cut by the second roller, who then rolls it around the bunch, ending at the head. The roller makes sure that the cigar has been rolled neither too tight nor too loose. The draw and the quality of the smoking experience is largely in his hands. The cigar is then cut to its prescribed length. The work of the roller ends here, but the cigar continues on its long journey. The supervisor repeats the same check as the roller before delivering the bundle of cigars to the inspector. Apart from the way the cigar was rolled, the inspector also checks the quality of each finished cigar, especially the wrapper. This includes the cigar's diameter, which has a very low tolerance for error. If a cigar does not meet the expected criteria, it will be rejected. 50 cigars are then weighed to check whether the correct amount of tobacco has been rolled. If the weight is too high, too much tobacco has been used. The cigars were rolled too tight and will be hard to draw. Too little weight means not enough tobacco. The cigar will burn too quickly. Next, the masterpieces are placed in bulks, boxes of 100 or 200 cigars depending on their diameters. The boxes are stored for about a month in a maturing cellar so that the moisture of the cigar balances from the filler to the wrapper. The next stage is selection, based on the shading of the wrapper. This task is exclusively reserved for women. They're not only better at discerning color, they also have more patience. Then the band bearing the brand signature is placed on the cigar by hand. The cigars are finally wrapped in cellophane for hygienic purposes and to protect them on their long journey to the customer. Cellophane is also important to allow the cigar to retain its moisture. Finally, it helps to preserve the intensity of the aroma. The cigars are now ready to leave the Dominican Republic. Carefully packed up, they're transported to the harbor, where they leave the island by ship. During their trip, they're shock frozen to combat Lacioderma sericorne, a nicotine-loving insect. After a long journey, the cigars arrive in the company's logistical centers in Switzerland, Germany, or the United States. Upon arrival, shipments are randomly checked. Then they're stored in air-conditioned and perfectly humidified cellars for several months. The storage time allows the tobacco to thaw gently after its long journey in a frozen state. After a new color selection and quality control, the Davidoff cigars receive their final packaging. And then the cigars return to the storage rooms until it is time for an order to be processed. Throughout the whole storage process, humidity is crucial to preserve the cigar's aroma. Therefore, special attention is given to climate control in the storage rooms. Before an order leaves the logistics center, each box or case is reopened. Every cigar undergoes a final inspection before the Davidoff warranty label seals the box. Finally, the Davidoff cigars are sold in one of the Davidoff of Geneva since 1911 shops, all through a Davidoff-appointed merchant worldwide.
And then now we have the new...
The sale of Davidoff cigars occurs only in selected outlets, according to strict criteria, such as location, existing range, storage conditions, and quality of
Sort
service.
of a nutty, woodsy characteristic to the smoke.
At this point, the cigar has passed through 600 hands before it finally arrives in yours. Every one of the 170 steps necessary, from sowing the tiny seed to the sale of the finished cigar, was vertically controlled by the Davidoff company. Our philosophy, from crop to shop, ensures that the aficionado will experience all the pleasure, relaxation, and well-being that he or she is entitled to expect during the enjoyment of a cigar.